Joan Quinn Profiles. As an editor for Andy Warhol's Interview, the Los Angeles Herald-Examiner, LA Style, and Detour magazines, Joan covered the social set, the Hollywood hotshots, the international art scene, the mysteries of food, the excitement of travel, and the fabulous world of fashion. Joan continues to find creative people on the cutting edge who make things happen. Here's Joan Quinn.
Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome to the Joan Quinn Profiles. Waiting to be profiled are artist, musician Herb Alpert and actor Kevin Brief. Philanthropist, musician, artist Herb Alpert grew up in Los Angeles, graduated from Fairfax High, served in the Army, then went to USC, where he was a member of the marching band. In 1962, when we were all going to Tijuana for the bullfights, Herb was influenced in a much different way than we were. He had a huge hit, The Lonely Bull, with his Tijuana brass band. He went on to form A&M Records, get a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and from that, he formed a major foundation for grants to the arts. When you yourself, during all this time, loved to paint and sculpt.
Well, no, actually, I didn't start painting until 1970. So I've been painting for 40 years.
Till 1970, and you were doing your music in 62. Were you interested at all in art at
Well,
that
I was
time?
interested in great artists. I was enamored with the paintings of Rufino Tamayo.
Oh,
I love the Mexican artists, and Tamayo Cuevas and Orozco, Siqueiros, they touched me. And there's something about, in that particular period, Tamayo's paintings just really got me.
Were you going actually to Mexico City, because that's where they were, and that's where the
muralists
were?
I was going to Mexico City. I was going to the bullfights in Tijuana, but in Mexico City, there was a gallery, Albert Mizrachi had all of Tamayo's works, and so I used to go down there and, you know, drool over the paintings. I couldn't afford them at the time.
Wasn't that that was the 70s, right? Or
no,
was
that
it
was the
before?
60s.
Was it the 60s?
That was the 60s.
So it was Corses, and it was Cuevas, and it was Toledo, and it was the muralist Siqueiros.
Yeah, well, Diego Rivera too.
And Rivera. I know. I think that was very trendy for us in that whole group. We used to go down to the bullfights and all of that to know those artists, because we have like some small Cuevas drawings, which were very small at the time. But that's interesting. So you were influenced a lot by that.
Well, I was influenced by that, and also I had the unique experience of watching Rufino Tamayo paint one day in Mexico City. And it was quite an experience. He pulled out a canvas that had been painted on many times, and he put it up on his easel, and then he started scraping away. You know, he started revealing some things that were underneath the painting, and I thought, well, that was pretty fascinating. And he was a very unpretentious guy. In fact, I was with Sergio Mendes at the time, and Sergio made the connection. So Sergio asked him in Spanish, he said, you know, how much you want for that painting? He was halfway finished with the painting, and Tamayo said, $7,500. You know, I looked at Sergio, I said,
Do you still have it?
No, Sergio didn't buy it for $7,500. But since then, I've seen that painting for $250,000.
I was going to say, I wish you'd bought it. You came from a very musical family, so that must have been the beginnings. And you started playing the trumpet at 8 years old?
Right. I started in my grammar school. They had a music appreciation class. Unfortunately, we don't have those anymore.
I know. But that's why you're such a great philanthropist and worried about putting music back in the schools.
Well, that's one reason. Yeah, my dad was very generous, and I think it's in my DNA.
And your mother was also musical?
Well, my mother loved music. She played violin. She, you know, didn't practice for my time, but she played. My father played mandolin, but he was mainly by ear, and he could play just about any tune that he heard. So he was.
Yeah, that's brilliant when somebody can do that.
And my brother was a professional drummer. My sister played piano.
Oh, so there you see, you were a very musical family. Then did the marching band help?
Yeah, it helped me. The marching band helped me know that I never want to do that again.
Oh, in that regard.
It's no fun marching down the field, you know, blowing a horn. I don't. That's not the thing I'd like to do.
And at that time, after you finished SC, you started going to the local jazz clubs and being
actually,
interested.
after I went to SC for only about a year and a half, and then I was drafted.
Oh, you went after that. Oh, I
Right.
see.
So I was in the Army. I had a great experience at the Presidio. I was in the 6th Army Band at Presidio in San Francisco with some fabulous musicians. And so, in San Francisco, I got a chance to go to the Black Hawk and see Miles Davis and Dave Brubeck and Paul Desmond and all my, the jazz greats.
Did you know what you were going to do then?
I had no idea.
I mean, you were in the Army band. That wasn't a marching band, was it?
Well, we did march. Yeah, definitely did march. But
you had no idea?
Well, I loved music. I had no idea I was going to be a professional musician, although I was, a professional in terms I was making money playing.
Were you writing? Were you writing music?
No, I wasn't writing much music, although I was studying in San Francisco. I studied with some very interesting composers. But I wasn't sure. I was kind of like waiting for that aha to strike me.
And was it the aha with the A&M records?
No, the real aha. Well, I started in 1957. I was partners with Lou Adler, and we had a situation at a local record company where Sam Cooke was the major artist. And I learned a lot from Sam Cooke, and Lou and I and Sam wrote a Wonderful World. Don't know much about history, don't know much trigonometry, that one.
The great one.
And then I lost, I learned a lot from Sam. He was just
But you you didn't have a label then?
I didn't have a label then, and then I dropped out of the partnership with Lou because somebody came up to me and said, hey man, you look like you ought to be in the movies. So I said, well, put me in. So I started studying acting. I studied with Jeff Corey. I studied with Leonard Nimoy.
Oh, you did? You studied with Jeff? Everyone studied
with
Jeff.
Oh, yeah, I love Jeff. Jeff was a friend. He was a great soul. He was a good guy and a really wonderful teacher. He
had a lot of connections through Jeff. Had a lot of connections in Hollywood.
And then after that, I recorded for RCA Victor for a year prior to A&M, and that's where I learned my big lesson.
What were you doing at RCA Victor?
I wrote a song that I thought would be great for an artist that they had. It was a follow-up to Gogi Grant's The Wayward Wind.
Oh, yeah.
And I had a song I thought would be great for her. So because I had a couple hit records with Jan and Dean and
we're really talking history. I love it.
Yeah. Okay. So I called the A&R man, and he said, come on in. Just almost that afternoon, the doors were like wide open for me. So I started playing the song at the piano, and he looked at me and he says, man, that's great. I think you ought to record it. I said, me? I didn't think of myself as a singer. He says,
to sing?
So I was recording for RCA Victor for a year.
You were singing?
I was singing. And my A&R man was Shorty Rogers, the great jazz musician. So I was in the studio recording this song. I think it was called Gonna Get a Girl or something like that, I'm not sure. And I was listening to a playback, and I was very uneasy. I didn't feel comfortable in the studio. The studio was very cold. It was white on white tiles and white floor and white ceiling, And so I was listening to this playback, and I wanted to hear it. It wasn't tough enough. I wanted to hear a little bit more bass. So I go over to the console, and I put my hand on the bass, and the guy slapped my hand. The engineer slapped my hand. And I couldn't believe it. I thought...
Yeah, this is collaborative, right?
Well, no, the record industry should revolve around the musician.
Right.
So they did everything they could to make me not feel comfortable. So that was the lesson I learned. I learned what not to do, how not to treat an artist. And so when we had A&M Records, when we recorded, developed our first recording studios, it was like a living room. I had a crystal in the wall, and I had, the right colors, and it was really a comfortable place.
Comfortable.
And the whole, environment was comfortable.
And so it became a big success because of the comfort factor, and because you had a good eye and ear probably for picking people.
That didn't hurt.
That didn't hurt. Had we gotten to the art yet?
Oh, I forgot. We're supposed to talk about art.
At that point.
Well, at that point, this was the Tamayo period, because after I had the Lonely Bull,
that was
and I had a little bit of change.
Right.
I kept there was this gallery in Beverly Hills called the, I forgot what it was called, but they had Mexican art.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
The Lewin Galleries in Beverly Hills.
Right.
So
Bernard
I
Lewin.
saw Bernard Lewin. I saw this painting of Tamayo's, and I just like got that buzz. I got that feeling, and it was Was it
cubistic?
No, it was It was called Tres Personas. It was like 3 people, and it was a good chunk of change. So I went there in the morning. I went there in the afternoon. I saw it in the evening. Different times I realized that I wanted to buy it. I remember walking out the door with that painting and thinking to myself, it was kind of like a negative thought. He was thinking he probably really took advantage of me, and I was thinking to myself, he shouldn't have sold it to me at that price.
Oh, you were so happy.
Yeah.
You were both so happy. But that's what happens when you buy a piece of art. And I think that's what happens when people buy your art. They have to walk away and say, this is something that I'm so lucky to have. And you're saying, I'm so glad they appreciate it, really.
I think art is great. I mean, art's a big mystery.
It really is. So you have a show you've had a lot of art shows. You've shown all over the U.S. and college campuses and different galleries.
And Europe as well, in Germany, West Germany, and the old East Germany, and Belgium.
But now you have a major show with these huge totems. Right. They're like how many, 20 feet high?
Well, they go from 12 feet to 18 feet.
18 feet.
Yeah.
And when you walk in the gallery, this is the shot that we see, and you're just blown away because the space is so big. The floor looks like it's cracked, which of course Doug Christmas made like that, so it looks like it's
Not necessarily when we pull these guys. When we pull these guys in, they weigh close to a ton. Between 15 and 2,000 pounds. So I think the floor, part of the floor gave in.
Some of the floors gave. But this was for your book signing or for the opening?
No, that was the opening night.
So add all these people to the weight of those things. It was quite heavy in every way.
Well, it was a beautiful night because Doug was expecting, maybe 300 people, and he said, it's not going to be very crowded because people usually come for 10 minutes and then they leave, but nobody left. I mean, that picture was taken, like 3 hours into the event.
So the books, and then you did a book signing there, and it was this black.
Right.
What's it called?
It's called Black Totems.
And tell us where the totems came from, in your mind.
Well, they came from several different sources. I kind of was enamored with the Northwest Indian totems that I saw in Vancouver, in Stanley Park. I really love the feeling of these scholar rocks that come out of China, out of the ground, and they're just these great
they're
shapes.
Just like,
Yeah, and the shapes of clouds and trees and all that are kind of like in my head.
What kind of material do you use?
Well,
because these are close-ups. They're like
well, those are all bronze, but it can start with wax, small version, and then we transfer that to like 3 or 4 foot version in clay, and then from clay, if it feels right, for some reason, like some small pieces that I do seem like they have a monumental size. It feels like you can blow them up, and I got like kind of an unusual imagination. I kind of I can see them in a larger form.
Do you do the clay yourself? Do you work the clay yourself?
Well, I do the smaller versions myself.
Do you?
I have people help me construct the armature to hold the amount of clay we need to do an 18-footer. And I have guys that pack on the clay until it gets to the point where I make the final moves at the end.
But when I was reading some of the reviews, it talks about different figures in those totems. Are you aware that you're putting different figures in them?
I'm aware of it. I don't like to talk about the symbolism, but I mean, there's definitely human figures and animal figures and clouds and trees and all sorts of.
But that comes from the influence that you're talking about, being on the plains in a way and seeing the Indian feeling of.
I think so, and also I'm a jazz musician, so it's very impromptu. So there's an abstract quality
I see.
that really charges me, and I go for the. I'm not looking for things that appeal so much to the eyes, but appeals to the soul.
And you have a lot of your sculpture from different periods in Malibu on your estate. Do you keep one of everything you make, or do you think about that when you're making them?
No, I don't think about keeping them. I think about. I'm surprised people, are excited about seeing them. I'm doing it for my own needs. I'm a right brain guy. I live like 85% on the right side of my head, and I paint and I sculpt and I blow the horn.
You still blow the horn?
Oh, every day.
Do you?
Every day.
And that keeps your muscles going?
Well, it not only keeps my muscles going, it feeds my spirit. I love it.
You talked about doing this for people. You've won 8 Grammys. Does winning a Grammy compare to like this art opening that we were talking about, or doing an art show?
Quite frankly, I never thought about it. I don't.
Do you get the same excitement? Do you get that same feeling?
Not necessarily from winning anything. I get the same feeling from when I complete a project, when I complete a song,
right.
when I complete a piece. Because when it's not completed, you feel defeated almost. It feels like, oh man, that's. Am I ever gonna, end up with some solution to this piece? And when it's finished, finally, I remember the first large piece that I did that got me onto these totems in this grand size. We worked on the clay. It was a 12-footer, and after you work on the clay, it has to be wrapped up and watered down so it doesn't crack and dry out. So I had the guys unwrap it in the morning before I went down to the sculpture studio, which they did. And I remember turning the corner and I looked at the piece and I got that feeling. I got a chill bump.
Chills.
Yeah, and I said, wow, I like that,
And we like that you made them. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank you very much for being with us. And don't go away. We'll be right back with Kevin Brief. Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome back to the Joan Quinn Profiles. I'm here with actor Kevin Brief, who was born in Brooklyn, but as a young boy moved with his family to Long Beach, California. He graduated from Wilson High School, got his Bachelor of Arts in Theater at Cal State Long Beach, and earned a Master of Fine Arts in Acting at Asola Conservatory in Saratoga, Florida.
Sarasota.
No, Saratoga, Asola.
One letter.
Asola.
I know. I got weird names for you. I'm
Too
sorry.
many things. I'm so. Then you went, not he. Then you went, of all places, to Kansas City.
Of all places, yeah.
Yeah, where you established yourself as a working actor.
Who knew?
So you've seen Kevin in over 80 TV shows, heard his voiceovers, and watched him in movies. And what happened to your football career?
Well, interesting. Well, it's the story is it's how I got into acting. Really, I was on my high school football team, and to be on the team, you had to take summer school football, and then
in a class.
and then you had to take a second to be in summer school. You had to take 2 classes. So I took this theater class. By the end of the summer, I'm like, I like this much better than this.
Did you? You didn't like getting knocked
Yeah,
around?
yeah. I was getting my butt kicked and yelled at a lot, and then they didn't do that in theater.
So then you went to Long Beach State.
Yeah, then I was really involved in theater in high school, and then went to Long Beach State. I lived in Long Beach, so I didn't travel too far.
Is that the one with the pyramid?
Yeah,
That's
pyramid.
great.
Yeah.
They have a great arts program.
Yeah, they do. They have a really. I mean, I think their visual
really
arts
good.
and their radio,
Yeah.
TV, and their acting program is fantastic. I hear.
Is it? Yeah.
No, that's
well,
right.
You
That's
were
where I went to school. So.
Was it great? Did you
Yeah,
think it was great?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was a really, I'm in college. It's a really cool time in my life. I still have dear friends from that period.
Do
We're
you?
still together, yeah.
Oh, that's
And
good.
a lot of them are still.
Did you have good acting teachers who actually performed? Because since they were in Long Beach,
Yeah, well, my main acting teacher at the time at Long Beach was a woman named Libby Apple, and she left the year I graduated. Libby left to go run Cal Arts, and then she went on to be the artistic director of Ashland, the Oregon Shakespeare Festival in Ashland for about 10 or 15 years.
That's
so that's
right.
my acting teacher, and she's pretty well known. So and she was great.
Excellent.
Great teacher.
So you went to Kansas City. Why not New York or Los Angeles?
Well, there was a girl involved.
Oh, that's the way it goes.
Yeah, no, I got out of grad school. My girlfriend at the time was finishing her master's at University of Kansas.
Oh.
So, as I joke, when I finished my acting program, I had my master's degree and my equity card, which is the stage union. And like all actors with equity cards, I went to Kansas City. I don't know. But as it turned out, I was working, and my friends were all in New York, and they were trying to get the jobs I had in Kansas City. They were auditioning for the theaters.
It's surprising because I didn't know Kansas City was a theater town. I thought you could just bartend there.
Oh, yes. It was just a joke my brother used to say. Kevin's finally doing it. He always dreamed of being a bartender in Kansas City, and now he's doing it.
His goal is accomplished.
But luckily, I had a couple, like all actors, I did some restaurant work, and then I had a couple of contracts lined up for a couple of theaters in 1988. And I said, I'm just going to see if I can make a go of this. So I quit my restaurant job, and I haven't had a...
Oh, you did? So you stayed there and acted?
I stayed there for another 3 or 4 years, and then came back out here. I had... I don't know how detailed you want, but I'd done a play in Kansas City with Charlie Brill and Mitzi McCall.
Yeah, tell us how. That was my next question.
Oh, okay.
How did you get to LA then? Once you decided you wanted to come back?
I'd done this play. They were brought in as the stars.
Tell us who they were.
Charlie Brill and Misty McCall, and really wonderful couple. And they've been together forever. And if you see them, you'd recognize them. I knew them because they did a lot of game shows in the 70s. They were like at every game show in the world. And
I remember the names.
Yeah, and then Charlie was on Silk Stockings for many years. And anyway, we got along famously, and they came back to California. And then Charlie was doing a play. He said, "You should come be in this play." So I came out and was in the play, and then got signed by an agent. And
you got an agent right away, and
pretty
you
quick,
had a job, and so that's all you need, right?
Things happened pretty quickly for me, so it was nice. And my family, my mom and brother and sister, all live in Southern California, it was like a good thing to come back.
You did a lot of small theaters, and you found Mud Luscious Ensemble?
There's a theater company called Mud Luscious Theater Ensemble. It's a weird name, but it comes from it comes from a E.E. Cummings poem. And my dear friends Albert and Sonia Lar are the artistic directors, and we did 4 productions, all really good, and a couple of Chekhovs.
Is that when you first came out, or are you still doing it?
That was much later, actually. And then Albert and Sonia got pregnant. And then they got pregnant again. And so we kind of are in a holding pattern. But we still have, the company's still together. We still have money in the bank, and we're talking about...
Do you meet and read, or what do you do?
We haven't in a while.
But when you did have the ensemble going?
Yeah, when we did, it would... we just kind of pick a play and then read it and see if it worked, and then we started putting it on its feet. And my friend Albert's a terrific director. He directed all the shows, and he usually casts me in good roles, so I like him for that.
So you've done a lot of TV and a lot of voiceover, but now you're on the stage.
Yes.
At the
theater.
Rogue Machine proudly presents the world premiere of New York Animals by Stephen Sater.
Yes.
Starring
Kevin Brief,
right?
Carolyn Aaron, and you would recognize Carolyn. She's been on lots and lots of stuff.
Yeah, she's done a lot.
Yeah.
She did What I Wore.
Right. Yeah, she just did that at the Geffen, and she's been in many Woody Allen movies, and she's always like, I was talking to Mike Nichols the other day. I was like, really? Were you? I wasn't, But
the great thing is, both of you play the older, not old, but older.
And so,
tell us about that.
Well, the play is 4 actors. They're listed as older man, older woman,
I know.
Younger man, younger woman. I'll let you guess which one I play. But the younger guy is about 30, so I could officially be 31 and be playing this role because I'd still be the older man.
Okay.
And it's really cool. It's 2 men, 2 women, and we play 21 roles between us.
Oh, so you do.
And the play is written by a gentleman named Stephen Sater, who won. This is a world premiere. It's very exciting. I've never been the first to create a role
at the
before.
Rogue Machine. Where is it?
Rogue Machine is producing at Theater, which is on Pico
and
La Brea in Los Angeles, in mid-city Los Angeles. Great little, one of the small theater. We have this 90-night seat theater plan in LA, and so we're all, get to do that. But Stephen won like a boatload of awards for writing Spring Awakening a couple of years ago.
On Broadway, the musical.
And he won Olivier's, Tonys, Grammys, and now this is his next play.
This is the next play?
Well, he's subsequently been hired to do. I think he's writing a musical with Burt Bacharach right now, and he's writing the remake of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, the movie. So he's got a lot of projects, but this is the only stage play that he has.
I love
up
this
and go.
because it's New York animals.
Yeah.
What kind of animals are you guys?
Well, it's symbolic, but I would probably, I think one of my characters is probably that rhino there, or the hippopotamus. But it's just obviously we're people, we're not animals.
21, right?
Yeah.
21 of you.
And it's just all these intertwining lives, quick changes, and then we become different people. And for lack of a better description, we've kind of described it as the movie Crash on stage.
So it's all, but is
in
it
New
one
York.
story?
No, it's
Nothing
Well, no.
Does it all weave together?
yeah,
at
it all
the
weaves
end?
together. Yeah,
That's-
but you see these people, and they're you and I do a scene, and then I leave, and then I do a scene with somebody else, and that's what happens in the play.
How is it directed? Who directed it?
John Perrin Flynn directed it. He's also the artistic director of Rogue Machine.
I see.
And it's been a really cool, interesting process because
But it's like choreography in a way. You come on the stage, off the stage. How do you change costumes?
they did because of the logistics, we don't go to full costume changes. Everybody's in kind of a palette of gray, and then we add different accents.
Very interesting.
So I'll have a cap, or I'll have a bright yellow scarf, and that's this one character. Oh, I just hit my microphone. Sorry. So it's done that way. It's all kind of symbolically
And so
done,
do you
but-
play all the older people? Are they all older people?
Well, they're all older than the other guys.
Younger?
But yeah, I mean, they're not. I mean, there's nobody. Everybody's my age,
But I mean, yeah, but are the characters?
I mean, there's. I mean, none of them are like. None of my characters are like really old. I mean, I think but like Caroline plays a couple that are older.
What do they do? What do your characters do?
Well, let's see. One of my main characters is a gentleman that has like OCD, Asperger's, and you don't really know what's in the earlier scenes. He's in an office scene and something's weird, and then he has this big breakdown in this diner, and so you kind of follow his, and there's something off about him, and something's happened to him.
And Caroline, she weaves through
Caroline does have one character that kind of weaves through the whole thing, kind of a woman that's suddenly homeless, and then by the end of it, you see her in the hospital. But you follow her kind of in the course of this one day. She deteriorates very quickly, and there's a lot of laughs in the play. Thematically, it's about loneliness and a big city and small lives.
It doesn't sound like a musical.
No, it's not a musical.
It's not a
No,
musical.
Stephen got away from the musical on this. Although he is writing a musical with Burt Bacharach right now, and they wrote a song for our play.
Oh, do you sing
Not
it in
that
the
we
play?
sing. No, it's just a song that comes over
in
the
and out,
speakers,
too?
in and out, and it's a closing song. So that's kind of cool. They
What
were like,
else are you doing? Can you do film work
yes, yeah,
while you're on the stage?
yeah. Well, not simultaneously. I'll have
Well,
to.
you can't be making a film in the daytime and
Yeah,
being on
absolutely.
stage?
Yeah,
Oh, you can.
actually, this particular contract with the unions is designed for us to be able to do a play, but get out of it when we have a paying job.
I see. So
And I'm actually doing a movie right now.
you are.
I'm shooting a film called Visible Scars, kind of a low-budget horror ghost film.
Really? Very trendy now, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. It's like Paranormal Activity, something.
I know. It's really great, though, because they're interesting.
Yeah.
Once you start getting into that genre, because I'm reading a couple of books.
Oh, yeah?
And I never really read or cared about it before. But you start getting into it.
Yeah,
it's pretty interesting.
vampires are pretty hot right now.
Exactly.
Yeah. No vampires in our show.
No,
but,
not in the show.
No.
But New York Animals is running through the summer, and we hope it'll be extended.
yeah, it's
And go to New York and do all the good things.
and it's absolutely. We're hoping there's a life beyond here, and it's exciting to see, be the first people to see this play that could end up in New York someday.
Yeah, I
hopefully.
love that about LA,
Yeah, it's
because
kind
we
of
have a
exciting.
lot of great small theaters. You're married to a landscape
Landscape
Artist.
architect.
architect. Do you like to dig?
Oh.
Do you get out in the yard?
Well, Pam, my wife, jokes it's like the cobbler's son. Our house needs new landscape, but but she's like, she's brilliant at what she does. And-
You're not growing any of your vegetables for dinner.
no, well, actually, I just planted some chili peppers and some tomatoes, so we'll see how
good.
they come up.
All right,
But,
you have to bring us a tomato the next time.
oh, you got
come
it.
in. Okay.
I'll just go to the store and tell you I grew it, but I'll get it to
I
you.
think you must have done stand-up at one time, Kevin. Did you?
I haven't, but
You
I've
should.
I've done like emceeing and things like that, and been told I should do
Do that,
stand up
yeah.
or at least have a drink at a bar or something. I don't know.
Something. A bartender.
Yes.
Thanks very much.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having us.
being with us.
Thanks.
And thanks for watching. Keep writing to my email, jaquinn1@aol.com. And if you want to write me a letter, 777 South Figueroa, 44th floor, Los Angeles, 90017. And we'll see you next time on the Joan Quinn Profiles.